At the start of any Minecraft duel, most players will try to examine their opponents, maybe to see if they don't pre-gap or if they drain their own water. But not me though. What I examine is my opponent's cortisol level. As a low cortisol PvPer myself, what I first notice is how high this player's cortisol levels are. First thing I notice is that this player's name is Cooper. This is a very high cortisol name. Another trait of high cortisol players is walking straight into a web without checking. This is the same type of person to walk out in front of a car without checking, and being hit by a car raises your cortisol levels. Another thing that raises your cortisol levels is being put in a crit chain. This player was too bad at the game and his cortisol levels were so exceedingly high I couldn't bear being in a lobby with him anymore. But if you want to learn how to PvP with low cortisol like me, continue watching this video. The next player I come up against initially gives me very mixed signals on their cortisol levels. A first low cortisol play I make is after being put in a web, I put a web in between us so he can't directly hit me. As there are webs to our right, I know he will come to our left and he sprint jumps right into my web as I predict. In the next few seconds, I will let you examine if this player is high or low cortisol, as I will get a telltale factor. Notice anything? This player unnecessarily spams his webs to gap instead of precisely placing them. The worst part is, he misses all of these spam placed webs, meaning his cortisol spiked in a panic. Natantefa17 is a high cortisol level opponent. A low cortisol play you can make is pushing your opponent into a web and perfectly predicting their pearl on the turn. This play completely spikes your opponent's cortisol, as you can see him spam placing webs yet again. Any encounter that you win lowers your own cortisol while highering the opponent's cortisol, making them more scared for their own life. Placing a web where an opponent lands is a low cortisol play, and letting your health drop this low like my opponent did is a high cortisol play as it spikes your cortisol. Pearling away is a demonstration of a very high cortisol play, especially if you pearl away multiple times. A way to counter this with low cortisol is by making your opponent come all the way back to you after pearling away in the first place. Mending first is a high cortisol play as it shows that you are losing the fight. When you mend, you must put in as little effort as possible because you have to show that you do not care at all. After a nonchalant mend, I cortisol mog my opponent by standing still in the middle of the arena waiting for him to come back to me. Letting your armor break like this and dying is an extremely high cortisol play as it shows you are worse than your opponents. After winning, you must stand completely still as you do not care at all. An extremely high cortisol play is running away from a fight and then blaming your mouse. Popping your totem is a high cortisol play as you should not be that low in the first place. Sensing my low cortisol, this player spent his last moments crouching and bowing down to me. He knows it is over when I perfectly predict his shield. He then lets his cortisol spike and bubble webs incorrectly. He also gets his pearl body blocked and his helmet breaks as he dies. Hopefully you have learned what to do and what not to do when fighting with low cortisol.